Welcome to True Health Tuesdays. Tonight we're talking about detox, but you know, when we're talking about detox, we really need to talk about where the toxins came from. Doesn't that make sense? Oh, you might be excited about this, and this is really kind of fun. Last week, Oxycontin, one of the most toxic, addictive substances that mankind's ever invented, is actually approved for 11-year-olds. Okay, we know it's going to cause hormone damage, we know it can cause brain damage, and it's a powerful narcotic, but now it's approved for 11-year-old children. Okay, okay, let's find out. When we look at toxins, and this is frustrating because this is such far afield from what the medical world thinks that the world really should be. They feel that there's no toxic exposure, okay, unless it's an industrial, that you may have, that you have to do a detoxing procedure. It's like they don't recognize vaccine damage has a majority of the problems that we have. They don't recognize leaky gut. They don't recognize a lot of things that are obvious to the rest of the world. Now, there's four methods that your body has of detoxing itself. The respiration, okay, so breathing, perspiration, okay, sweating, pooping, and peeping. Okay, and this is how your body detoxes. The problem is we're coming up with a few more challenges than our system, which is thousands and thousands of years old, is designed. And we're going to go over where those challenges came from. First, we've got neurotoxins, food toxins, and the neurotoxins, those are everywhere. We've got a list. Have you ever heard of aspartame? Okay, yeah, that's a neurotoxin. Have you ever heard of Splenda? That's chlorinated sugar. That's also a neurotoxin. And when you start looking at it, we have a whole list of, actually, no, I have nothing but healthy stuff on here. There's a whole list of things called MSG, or monosodium glutamate, which are also neurotoxins. So you start looking at this, what about the toxins in plastic containers? You know, you heard about BPA and then BPS is safe, but now it's not safe. Okay, so we have to start looking at our entire environment. Food, vaccinations, and pesticides. When you look at vaccines, how they are, well, we're going to go over a little bit on how toxic they are, but not delve into the entire toxicity of vaccines. Just know that today's children, and this, I got a mom in here today with a child 1 month old, and she is concerned about vaccinating, okay, because she has a 6-year-old with autistic tendencies. I mean, you know, it's like, don't do this stuff anymore. Okay, but she's concerned about the health of the 1 month old child, okay, because what's the pediatrician saying? Disease is just a plane ride away. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, Americans are clean. Every part of the world is dirty. You know, this is foolish stuff. Okay, food toxins. Where do the toxins come from begin in the food? We're actually going to go through history a little bit. And then we talk about the physical, chemical, and emotional aspects, and also medications. We're going to go into some really insane things. Well, first, you've heard of the Food and Drug Administration, right? FDA, I call them Fraud and Deception Association. Well, you know, I started looking at this and I think, well, wait a second, when did they start? And they started as the Division of Chemistry. And then they changed their name to the Bureau of Chemistry. And their whole thing was at the turn of the last century, where the chemical industry was starting to patent medicines, and they were starting to put a number of different chemicals in the food supply. And like chemicals in the food supply, they're good for preserving, right? Yeah, absolutely, fantastic. So it added to the shelf life. Now, are they preserving you or preserving the food? Yeah, they're not preserving you. Okay, so were some people getting sick at the time? Yeah, so it was more of a liaison office to give the chemical companies plausible deniability over the damage. Yes, you got sick from eating the bleached flour, okay? But most people don't, so it must be your genetic makeup. Oh, wait, no, at the time they didn't know to blame genes. Okay, they just said it's your dumb luck. Okay, because most everybody can eat it and they're just fine. Of course, disease rates are going up, but you know, don't worry about that. So here's this guy, Harvey Wiley. Now, he is actually a brilliant guy. He was actually doing studies to find out that, oh my gosh, Benzoic acid is not good. Sulfite, saccharin, bleached flour might be bad. Okay, and he's looking at this, and this is like 1907. And he's going, hey, wait a second, we've got to do some studies on this, that it's actually not good for human beings. And I'm going, man, this is incredible. How could this guy actually do this? Well, of course, if you're so now, what's industry runs our government now? The pharmaceutical industry. You could also call it the chemical industry, because this is what it used to be named. So at the time Dr. Wiley was involved in this, the chemical industry and the whiskey industry were the two biggest advertisers in America. So then you start thinking about this, well, wait a second. Since they were running our government now, were they running our government back then? Well, sure enough. Okay, we're looking at James Wilson, Secretary of Agriculture, and he's talking to this guy who's at the Bureau of Chemistry saying, hey, look, these preservatives are preserving food. We don't have a good refrigeration network now, and so it's allowing the food to be on the shelves for a lot longer. Yes, but it's harming people. Well, you know, don't be so picky, okay? You know, the chemical companies, they're actually really helping out with my campaign. So, you know, I'd rather you not look into that. Okay? I know. Well, hopefully Miss Monsanto. What's her name again? Hillary Clinton? Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Well, when she gets elected, because she will, because she has the best sponsorship, okay, you'll see that you know, the brilliant advertising that their dollars can buy. Well, now, he wanted to he was questioning Dr. Wiley that there was a problem with this. So what do they do? And this is what's still done, and I want you to take note of this. Did they take his research and data and say, wow, let's do the research and see if it really is harmful? No, they formed another board, okay, of Food and Drug Inspection, and then they had a referee board of scientific experts in 1908. So they thought, we're not going to redo your experiments, we're just going to have this board that says everything's safe. You know, it's kind of like when you check for vaccine safety, do they redo the test to see if, say, the measles, mumps, and rubella actually cause a bowel disorder and can negatively affect the brain? No, they're not going to do that, okay, because it's a lot easier to badmouth the scientists that came up with those problems. Well, so now, Dr. Wiley was kicked out. He actually, you know, couldn't take it because he kept on saying, look, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem. And they're coming up with scientific committee after committee saying, no, there's not a problem, you're just not a good scientist. So here's a dirtbag, Elmer Nelson. Wait, no, he's a doctor. And he was quoted as saying, because Dr. Wiley really wanted to make sure that the food supply was good for the health of the population. Here's the quote. It's wholly unscientific to state that a well-fed body is more able to resist disease than a poorly fed body. My overall opinion is that there hasn't been enough experimentation to prove that dietary deficiencies make one susceptible to disease. Welcome to modern science in 1912. Okay, now, 2015, all vaccines are safe and effective except when they're not. Okay. Okay. It's just crazy. Okay. Now, I like this. Strenuous opposition. Okay. The whiskey distillers in patent medicine, they were the largest advertisers at the time. The patent medicine is also the pharmaceutical industry as we know it now. And they were afraid that the government regulations were going to drive them out of business. Again, we're going to see they still have that fear, even though they've taken over the government. And it was, it was argued that the federal government had no business policing what people ate, drank, or the use of medicine. Okay, I mean, absolutely. They have no right to police this stuff. Wait, this was back in 1912. Are they policing the drugs now, or are they forcing the drugs on the population? And the reason I'm bringing this up when we're talking about detoxing, I want you to see that this has been coming on slowly, and now it's so apparent and so arrogant that they're trying to second guess the physiology of your body, that our population is really doomed. Okay, I mean doomed, and it started back here. It's like when you look, have you ever seen bleached flour in anything? All over the place. All over the place, okay? Now, what happens is, during the bleaching process, I mean, obviously, Dr. Wiley was opposed to it because they used chlorine oxide in bleaching. Now, the chlorine gas actually produced alloxan. Now, I want you to look at the alloxan in here because even though it's toxic and poisonous and can instantly cause diabetes in rats, it wasn't regulated because it was a byproduct of a process, not an additive. I know, interesting. So they use this alloxan to induce diabetes. Wait, is diabetes popular in our culture now? Okay, yeah, it's all over the place. It's epidemic. Now, could it be partially from, the bleached flour that we're exposed to, and also the medications that we're exposed to in the toxic environment? Okay, but you know, there's no science that shows a well-fed body is better able to resist disease than a poorly fed body. Okay, yeah. What's our science going to be like in another 100 years when they look back and they find out that 69 doses of 16 different vaccines and 1 out of 2 of our children had a chronic disease, and we accepted that? Okay, now, when we look at this, have you ever heard of insider trading? Is that legal or illegal? Illegal, okay. And what that is if you actually know that something is going to change, then that's insider information, and it's changing how the stock market should be. Well, here's evil incarnate, Julie Gerbening. Now, she was president or in charge of the CDC, the director, from 2002 to 2009. Now, before 2002, you couldn't inject a 5-year-old with a flu shot. You couldn't inject a pregnant woman with a flu shot, and you weren't forced to get flu shots at work. Okay, now she started to order a huge amount of vaccines from Merck. It might have just been dumb luck. I think it might be insider trading. I think she needs to go to jail. But she ended up buying about $5 million worth of stock, okay? About 70,000 shares, okay? I don't know if she did it before she had America buy most of these shots, but, you know, it was pretty profitable for her. Now, after the 7 years of tenure at the CDC, she's instantly hired as Merck's vaccine division president. I mean, this should be, I mean, we got to pick up the pitchforks and storm the Citadel. This is absolutely mind-boggling that this would be allowed to go on, because they're the ones responsible for our health. Now, and I love, here's Dr. Marcia Angel, the editor of New England Journal of Medicine. It's simply no longer possible to believe much of the clinical research that is published or to rely on the judgment of trusted physicians or authoritative medical guidelines. I take no pleasure in this conclusion, which I've reached slowly and reluctantly over my 2 decades as editor of the New England Journal of Medicine. So this means the advice that you're getting to wipe out the religious and philosophical and beliefs of vaccines or the forced medical procedures, it's not based in science. It's based in profit. And gosh knows it's pretty profitable for Dr. Gerbening or Dirtbag Gerbening, or try and say Dirtbag Gerbening. It's not easy. Okay, that's a tongue twister. Now, so I got this mom with this 1-month-old baby in here, and I'm going, we got to have an elevator speak, okay? Because when you talk to these, what does the vaccine religion say, okay? Well, vaccines wiped out smallpox, wiped out polio. Amen. Vaccines wiped out smallpox, wiped out polio. That's what they say, right? Okay, that's what they say, and it's not true. When you look into the polio, when you look into the smallpox, you realize that that's false, okay? But now, let's look at at like, the elevator speech. Well, did you know that in the mid-'80s, most of the vaccine companies were going out of business? Okay, because of lawsuits, mainly from the DPT shot. Okay, and this is all the people that were getting injured from the shot actually had the right to sue the companies because the product was toxic, unsafe, and did damage. Okay. Now, the companies were very smart, and this is the chemical industry. Wait, they don't call it the chemical industry anymore. That was back in Dr. Wiley's time. They call it, what do they call it now? Oh, the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, good, thank you. Okay, so the pharmaceutical industry, actually, instead of taking money to build a safer product, they invested it in the government. Okay, it's called lobbying. And the government said, yes, you're right. The product is toxic and poisonous and harming a lot of people, so let's limit the liability. So this way you have a liability-free product. And they said, great, so how about everything that we decide to give on a schedule forced to the American public, okay, is also under that liability. So it's not just the DPT shot. And they said, dude, done. Give me that liability-free, okay, product, and you give me some campaign contributions, we'll make it happen. So it went from 10 vaccines to 36 vaccines, bam, right overnight. Was there a cry from the public of, oh my God, we need more vaccines, please, 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 our children are sick? Or was it, oh my God, we got a liability-free market, and a market that's actually going to be forcing this on the public? Can you see this? Okay, now when we're talking about detoxing, you got to understand, we went from 10 vaccines to 36 vaccines. Now it's 69 doses of 16 different vaccines. So it's a little bit crazy. Okay, so vaccines, obviously that's a toxicity. Also, glyphosates. Now this is the Roundup Ready. And Dr. Huber, okay, when we look at it, we've pretty much sacrificed an entire generation of children. The longer we go on, the more damage that is going to accumulate. No kidding. This is, again, a chemical produced by a chemical company in order to sell more chemicals. Have you heard of genetically modified seeds? Yes. Those are seeds produced by a chemical company to sell more chemicals. Okay, they don't increase productivity, they don't make the environment better, they don't hold more nutrient value, they're not going to save the world. There is no benefit other than that they can sell more chemicals. Now, glyphosates, or Roundup Ready, is a mineral chelator. Now, it turns out that if you don't have appropriate amounts of minerals, that your immune system can't function correctly, you can't utilize vitamins, and you're more susceptible to toxins. So what if we have that perfect storm where we have glyphosates in the water, in the food, everywhere else? Now, also, if you knew grains actually give up their seed when they're dying. So what they found out that if you spray entire fields with glyphosates, it actually, you increase the yield about 10%. So this means 100% of the grains that you're getting in this country, unless they're organic, are soaked with glyphosates. Now, this is a mineral chelator. Now, are there any studies that show that it's safe for humans? No, we have several studies that show it's not safe for rats. So if you have an ex-husband that may have rat-like tendencies, okay. I'm not going to say attorneys or anything, but if you know somebody that does have rat-like tendencies or rats, okay, it's not good for them. But there's no studies on humans. All we do know is that cancer rates are through the roof, tumor rates are through the roof. It's insane. So now, we know the toxicities. It comes from the environment, the food, the medical procedures, okay? So we need to change this. Now, one of the things that we know is healthy fats versus engineered fats. We know that most canola oil, most soy products and soy oil are toxic and genetically modified. But even the standard canola oil and the standard soy oil and soy products, they're polyunsaturated fats. It slows down the thyroid. So we can't eat this stuff. It's not good for us long term. Healthy oils like organic butter, organic grass-fed hormone-free butter. And this is important because the standard butter, you figure a cow can't give milk unless it's pregnant. So we found out that if you have a pregnant cow and feed it a ton of synthetic hormones, that it can keep producing milk. However, the milk is poisonous. That's why we can't sell our milk in Europe. Now, coconut oil, palm oil, phenomenal. If you look at the studies on coconut oil, which is a medium chain fat, it's vital for brain function, and it's vital if you've had your gallbladder ripped out. Okay, because you actually, or I'm sorry, your gallbladder removed. Because in this country, you know, if it's remove the offending organ. Yeah, you don't want to have a healthy lifestyle. Okay, fish oil, but the fish oil has to be from small fish. Cold water, microfiltered, because if we're looking at the state of our oceans today, you can't have large predatory fish because of the coal plants are letting mercury into the system, plus we have Fukushima bathing us in radiation, so large fish are really not safe anymore. Olive oil is okay, and fresh flaxseed is okay, but it can't be bottled, because bottling the flaxseed, it rancidifies really quickly. And again, that slows down the thyroid. So when we're looking at healthy fats, beautiful. You get any hydrogenated oils. Why do they add a hydrogen molecule on it? Say shelf life. Shelf life, yes, I know. Was it for health? No. Okay, why did they genetically modify soy and rapeseed or canola oil? Because it's for profit, you know, so the stuff doesn't make sense. So when you look at the other toxins that we're exposed to, all prescription drugs only do one of two things, and they're called patent medicine. They either block a receptor site on a cell or poison an enzyme. So both of those are not good for you long term. The amalgam dental fillings. Now, Dr. Huggins, which developed the Huggins protocol to remove the amalgam fillings, he lost his license because he's saying, look, we're putting mercury in people's mouths, mercury amalgam, and it's poisonous, it shouldn't be there. Okay, so how dare you say something against the god of dentistry? Okay, pesticides, processed foods, synthetic foods, vaccinations. I mean, all of these things, this is what we're exposed to, so we just need to reverse it. Okay, now, I've got a pet peeve with blood pressure because, I get patients in here, I mean, multiple times. We get about 80 to 100 new patients a month, okay? And so we're talking every day someone comes in there and says, Doc, man, I got this blood pressure. I say, yeah, I know. That's why you're vertical and talking to me. If you didn't have it, you'd be laying down in the cemetery over there. Okay, we all have blood pressure. No, you don't understand. It's really high. Okay, not everybody should have it. And I just want you to, again, this is the elevator speak. I want you to be able to dissect blood pressure and know what it is. Okay, pulse pressure is what the entire world is going to start measuring it. And what it is the difference between the high number and the low number. Does this make sense? Because we all shouldn't have the same. So let's just look at the difference, or pulse pressure. Now, 120, let's take 120 over 80. But we could also take 160 over 120, which again, the difference between the high number and low number is 40. So look more at the high number and low number. And if it is 40, it's pretty much normal. If it's greater than 40, so imagine this. So the heart is working at 160 systolic. Okay, and the other number is only 80, so that's a pulse difference, or a pulse pressure of 80. Okay, follow me? That means the heart's got to work really hard to generate a low pressure. So this means there's got to be something wrong. So we look at it, arterial stiffness, so atherosclerosis will cause it, inefficient blood will cause it, medications will cause it, damaged blood vessels, nutrient deficiencies. Okay, because the body has to generate pressure in order to maintain a low functioning of blood pressure. Okay, or minimal functioning of blood pressure. Whereas if there's a great or a less difference in 40, you're talking just poor heart function. Okay, poor sensory input to the heart. So nobody should be diagnosed with high blood pressure or low blood pressure, good heart function and poor heart function. Does that make more sense? Yeah, so if you're taking prescription drugs, sick people need drugs. If you're taking drugs, you're sick. Understand? It's not keeping you healthy. Okay, if you're taking a drug for arthritis pain, it's destroying your joints. So understand, all prescription drugs, you got to find the problem. Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills. Brilliant book, but you're going to find out there's a number of neurotoxins in our food supply. So, you don't take it. Now, VE Irons, and this is one of the most powerful cleanses you're ever going to do. Okay, I did the 7-day cleanse and it was disgusting about day 5. And yeah, you got 2 more days of it. So you're drinking this completely tasteless colloidal mud shake, okay? And in between the mud shake, you're doing tablets of chlorella, wheat germ oil, vitamin C, beet juice, and probiotics. Now, this is one of the best, most effective cleanses if your body is extremely toxic. But now let's just look at lifestyles though. Okay, when we're talking about juicing and blending, which is about every sheet that we get in just about every health talk, do we recommend chlorella every day? Yeah, because it's phenomenal. It binds to toxins, binds to metals, and it's good. It's a real benign nutrient supplement to take. Wheat germ oil, is that good to add in your smoothies every day? Yes or yes? Absolutely. What about vitamin C? Yeah, of course. We recommend 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C with bioflavonoids at least 3 to 4 times a day. But now when the average doctor or naturopath or homeopath, because you're not going to get this advice from a medical doctor unless they're smart like you, seriously, they're going to recommend, okay, so many milligrams per body weight or per kilogram or per this. It's a total guess. Nobody really knows. So you really got to gauge your supplements on a general basis, but then you may have to increase or decrease the dosage depending on your need. Okay, does that make sense? And beet juice, is it a good idea to toss in some root vegetables with your juicing? Absolutely. They've got antifungal properties, anti-mold properties. It's just brilliant to just add all of these supplements in your daily diet. In probiotics, if your diet is at least 70 to 80% raw or organic, you're getting tons of healthy bacteria. So it's a good idea to do a cleanse, but it's also a good idea to keep your lifestyle healthy so you're getting the appropriate nutrients. I mean, this stuff is called food. Oh, I'm sorry, plants. Okay, it's actually, and it's kind of neat, understanding that the genetically modified and commercially produced plants you can't buy anymore. Okay, you need to have organic, and you can get frozen organic. Frozen organic will last. I mean, even Costco has frozen organic berries. It's phenomenal for you. Colonics. I have a confession to make, okay, and this is an integrity issue. I recommended colonics for 5 years before actually having one. Yeah, having a tube shoved up my butt I didn't think was going to be comfortable. And so I got to tell you this, I looked at YouTube videos on colonics. I did the research on colonics. I knew everything about colonics. I recommended them. And if somebody asked me, they said, well, Doc, have you ever gotten one? I'd have to honestly say, no, I haven't, because I'm scared. I've never been to prison. Okay? But when you look at it, it's an uncomfortable procedure, and believe me, nobody understands the uncomfortableness more than me, okay? Because the first time that I went to go get a colonic, I went over here a few blocks, it was the 5th floor of this building, and I go in there and I go, okay, I get the courage up, you lay down, you put the gown on, okay, and she says, okay, you're gonna feel a little pinch, like the dentist? You're going to feel a little pinch. What do? A needle right in your gums. Okay, so okay, I'm ready. Okay, I get through the initial. All of a sudden, all the lights go off, all the power goes off. There was a power outage in Huntington Beach. And I go, you're kidding. I went through this. Aaron, do we wait till the power comes on? It was the most miserable ever. What's weird is I went back when the power was on. So you gotta have it done, okay? I'm telling you, okay, but you gotta find a good colon hydrotherapist, okay? And honestly, if you've never had one, like I made it, almost 50 years without having one. You may have to do 3 or 4 of them to start. Okay, I recommend 3 of them, but if you got to do it yearly, I've been doing it yearly, and it's something you need for a healthy intestinal tract. Now, EDTA, this is one of several different methods of detoxing heavy metals. Like, let's say you've worked on a nuclear submarine or you currently live in California. Okay, both heavy radiation exposure. Okay, so you're going to have to do certain things like IV vitamin C. EDTA is a little bit aggressive, and it comes in oral, suppositories, a couple of things. But now when we look at an oral chelation, before you really begin any kind of a detoxing program, you got to make sure that your bowels are moving correctly. That's why I started it with the talk about colonic. It's not a comfortable subject for me, but you got to figure if you're detoxing and you've got, say, the liver that's going to detox and dump toxins into the intestinal tract, if it's a sluggish intestinal tract, by God, you're going to resorb them back. So you got to have at least 3 bowel movements a day before you begin a detoxing program. So this means you got to increase your water, increase your juicing, increase the gastric motility, increase, say, infrared saunas, all of which will increase your bowel movements. Okay, and when you do it, colon cleanse, liver cleanse, in order to prepare for it, look at vegetable juicing. Look at diet more in vegetables. In fact, a juice feast or a juice fast is going to be phenomenal for it to start. There's some really powerful ones, and this one you have to go to a real doctor like American Biodental. I recommend them, fantastic for certain cancer therapies. They'll do intravenous chelation therapy. Okay, they'll use the EDTA, they'll use all sorts of different natural products to bind and get rid of toxins. But also, when you look at spirulina and chlorella, phenomenal. We can get this at the store, we can put it in our smoothies, and it's so simple and so easy. And again, you only need this stuff if you work on a nuclear submarine or live in California. Okay, actually the Northern Hemisphere, because the Northern Hemisphere is now bathed in Fukushima radiation. And frankly, you don't want to be Fukushima'd.
Can I ask, is it moving toward?
It's covering our planet. So is Fukushima covering our planet? Yes. Yes, it's covering our planet. It's one of those things that, does anyone know where the core is? No. Just know that it's being dumped in the ocean. It's just going to be something. And that's why I bring up this, because, I mean, barley miso soup. In World War II, nuclear bombs were dropped on Japan. Okay, the oldest survivor, I think he was 93-year-old, who was double bombed. Okay, he was bombed when he was in Hiroshima. He went to Nagasaki to recover. Okay, there were like 15 people that were double exposed, and he lived to 93. But the whole thing with radiation is, if your cells are breaking down faster than they're building up, you're going to die. Okay, if your cells are building up faster than they're breaking down, you're going to live. Okay, so realize that our cells are breaking down in the environment that we're exposed to. I mean, obviously, you want to choose to not have your cells broken down. Okay, so this means you're not going to eat McDonald's, you're not going to get the flu shot, you're not going to take the antibiotic for the ear infection, you're not going to drink your water out of plastic that's been sitting in your car, okay, all day long. Okay, so we know normal stuff and toxic stuff, but the barley miso soup is phenomenal. Detoxing clay, I made this the last time we did this talk, and it's really, really simple. It's bentonite clay and cacao and a couple of drops of peppermint oil. And if you mix this up into the consistency of, say like whipped cream or thick pudding, something like that, just a half a teaspoon, it actually tastes pretty good. But don't take this detoxing or this clay if you're taking supplements at the same time. Have about a half hour in between, because it's going to bind to everything, including supplements, and can actually decrease the absorption. But it's phenomenal. Glutathione, and now this is nebulizing. It's when it's like broken down, any type of medication that you put in there or supplement, it's broken down so you breathe it in, and this is getting that supplement inside of the lungs. We've had a couple of people where you can get hydrogen peroxide, mix it some with water, food grade, and you can put it in just a fine spray mist bottle and just go, okay, so, you know, if if the power outage, okay, comes, or you're in the jungles, okay, and you need to breathe in certain nutrients, this just aerates it as much as you can, and you breathe in. And there's a lot of different things. Glutathione is one of the best things to strengthen your immune system, and also, well, detoxes uranium oxide. And since the uranium and the toxic materials from radiation affect the thymus gland, affects the lymphogram, affect the thyroid, all the sensitive areas, this is one of the best things, along with a plant-based diet, to help you. And then phytochemicals. I mean, get the fruits and vegetables for color. And we get stuck in a rut, and we get the same 10 vegetables. Okay, you serve your family the same 10 vegetables. Go by a farmer's market. If you see burger root, okay, get it. And you'll think, what the heck is that? Talk to the farmer. If you see stinging nettles or dandelion, and you think, gosh, didn't my dog urinate on a dandelion once? I mean, look around, because each plant has been exposed to viruses, funguses, and bacteria, and they develop certain phytonutrients. So you eat those, you take it into your system, and your body has more resistance. And enzymes. This is why you want to eat most of your diet raw, and if you're over 40, okay, you got to start taking digestive enzymes, because this helps you break down the nutrients. And the enzymes are literally the workers that bring the vitamins and minerals into the site. So you actually need enzymes. It's incredible. And then this one, I actually gave you the sheet, but when we look at whole grain seaweed and radiation, B6, phenomenal. Buckwheat, phenomenal. Seaweed, phenomenal. And when you look at this, of course, seaweeds, what they're doing is they're measuring radiation since we're being bathed in dust, rain hits, funnels down into the gutters drain into the ocean, and the seaweed can actually pick up some of the radiation. So you need seaweed that's harvested away from cities, okay? And that's one of the reasons I like Body Balance, because that's where it's harvested. But really, really basic stuff, okay? And this is what you need for health. I mean, when we talk about healthy nerve supply, your body has respiration, perspiration, pooping, and peeping. If you're stuck in a fight or flight, okay, you're stuck in a fear-based thing, you're not going to have appropriate digestion. Does that make sense? Okay, so you need the parasympathetic nervous system, or the rest, digest, and repair, to regenerate your body. When we talk about exercise, that's part of the detoxing. Okay, you have to breathe more, you have to sweat more. And if you do this at least 6 days a week, where you work hard enough to sweat, do we perspire every day? Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sorry. Women glow, guys sweat. You glow every day? Okay, good. And proper nutrition, we're talking organic plant-based diet. Okay, it's that easy and that simple. But also too, if you're over 40, you've got to juice. And if you're juicing, are you going to put a little spirulina in there? Are you going to put a little chlorella in there? A little wheat germ oil? Yeah, absolutely, because it just makes sense. Because we're living in an environment where cells are breaking down, and what we want to do is build them up. And if you juice and blend, that pre-digests the food. And honestly, if you go by Costco and you get a bag of organic frozen berries, that's resveratrol. Okay, you put that in a blender with a little bit of cacao and maca, you got something to balance out the hormones. You toss in a healthy banana and some coconut water, by gosh, you've got electrolytes, you've got healthy saturated fats. Blend this stuff up, give it to your kids and tell them it's a chocolate shake. Okay, sufficient rest. You need this. Yes, chocolate shake. For you guys, chocolate shake today. Sufficient rest. Okay, you need it every night in prayer and meditation. Okay, atheists can meditate. Okay, don't worry about it. Prayer, meditation, it's good for you. Now, next Tuesday, we're going to talk about men's health, and you're going to find out prostate cancer is no longer prostate cancer. Breast cancer is no longer breast cancer. The National Institute of Health just changed their diagnoses. Don't miss next week.